Well, hey everybody, welcome to Module 7. The note on our lessons for Mind Etch this week reads something like almost there, and that really sums it up. So I don't have a lot to say this week to set this up. Really what we're doing is we're going back to run through revisions again. So that's really what the lessons are this week. It takes you through some, again, a review of good revision styles good revision methods to use. And then it has you do an activity where you sit and run through doing the actual revisions for your milestone project. And you also engage in a discussion this week where you basically critique your own revision methods and talk about what you're doing in this paper and about what you've done in the past and how things are working. It's just an all-around interactive reflection on this final revision process is really what it is. All right. So there's not really, that doesn't amount to a ton of work. So I wanted to talk mainly about those two things, those two assignments for this week in this little communication. So for activity 7.3, which is where you're doing the final revision, where it's asking you to walk through doing it. This is just an activity. It's only graded for completion. So what I wanted you to know is that again, do use it to the best of your ability to help you walk through the different stages and things that you want to do in it. But there is no provision in this exercise for me to give you feedback on those last minute changes. So probably the most important thing to keep in mind is that at the bottom of the page on that assignment on Mind Etch, there's a little reminder, and I wish it was a little more highlighted. But because it just continues on in plain text, and it says reminder at the bottom. And it suggests that when you've made your changes, you should definitely try running them by someone else. All right. And it says maybe that will be me, that you'll just email me a revised version of your paper for me to take a look at, and that I can look it over and get it back to you. And again, this isn't a trap for me. This isn't a trap from me. This is this is an opportunity. And again, you're always welcome to send me anything and ask me any questions anytime during the semester. And I've had a few students that have taken advantage of that. Again, you don't have to just do what you're told to do. You can always reach out and say, is this right? And this is really more or less the last opportunity to do that. So if you wanted to, you're more than welcome to, and I'll get back with you. Now, when I do give you feedback on this final version, probably what I'll do is I'll restrict myself to any major issues that I see going on, things that are going to, likely to impact the final grade in a large way. So I won't be, giving line edits where I say this is misspelled or, this is a comma splice. Those are fairly nitpicky things, and they will, they might cost a couple of points but it's a couple of points in one single category, which is, how proficiently you deal with mechanics. And again, on the actual grading, there are many categories, and most of them deal with the structure of writing, the effectiveness of writing, and how you deal with it, rather than, again, is this comma in the right place? That's not that big of a deal. Now, if you don't want to interact with me, then there is another option also right there in that reminder. And what they've got is they say you can use academic support, and they provide an actual just straight live link that takes you to the live chat with the tutors at the Writing Center. So by all means, feel free and do that. When you finish up and you're ready to go, let them take a look at it and see what they say. you could do that one, you could do the other, you can do both. I cannot stress enough, having someone else look over your paper is always a good idea. So even if you just hand this over to your, to your spouse, to a friend, to a coworker, do that. They may not be experts in grammar or in academic writing, but they are an audience, and they'll be able to tell you whether or not your ideas, your argument comes through to them. And basically, again, if you choose to do that option, all I say is don't just hand it to them and say, is it good? All right. That isn't the kind of feedback that you need. What you need to do is, once they've read it, have just, again, it doesn't have to be an all night thing, but have a short conversation and say, did you get my main idea? What do you think my main idea was? All right. And if they can tell you what the main idea was, then that is great feedback for you. All right. You know that your ideas have been communicated through your writing. All right. And that is the baseline needed to judge whether or not your writing is successful. So that can be a really positive thing for you. And again, if they're unable to tell you what that is, then maybe you better go back and take a look and think about how things are presented, because your audience has missed it. All right. Now, the other thing that you're doing is we're going back and doing another discussion board. And we haven't done that since week 1. So I wanted to mention again, the due dates for the discussion boards are split up. So you're supposed to get an initial post in by Thursday of this week, end of the day, Thursday. And then you've got until the end of the day for the module, this next Sunday, to do responses to all of those. Okay, and you're required to do at least 2 substantive responses. All right. Now, it outlines what you're supposed to do on the discussion page, but things get a little confused because they use the same instructions for both of our discussions here. And to me, you really have to read carefully through this to see what you're supposed to do for this particular discussion. So I just wanted you to be, to be clear on what it is. So for this discussion, what you're doing is you're going to talk about your plans for this final revision. All right. So this revision plans is really it. So the first part of the module really goes back and reviews all of that data. So basically just rely on that and say, what things out of all the things that it talks about do you see yourself doing? And again, be specific. Reference your own work so that you've got examples for what it is that you're doing to show how you think this is going to improve things. All right. And that'll help you fill up the space really easily, because they do ask for a fairly hefty post on this one. I believe they're asking for 3 paragraphs of, the usual 5 to 8 sentences. So work through the different methods that are on there, talk through them, and represent them in your, through examples in your own work, showing how there'll be improvements. All right. And it does say in the instructions, when discussing these steps, this is how it reads. Be sure to point to specific areas of your draft that you plan on revising. So again, specifics, examples, just like you would in any piece of writing, represent through, use your draft as a source for this piece of writing, where you're just going to take examples from it and say, look, this is a problem that I had, and this is how I'm fixing it using this method. All right. So very straightforward. All right. So those are the 2 things that are getting done during this week. And again, they are all aimed at getting you working on getting a final version of this done, because we've got just 1 more module after this, and this paper is due at the end of that module. So that's really about it. So if you have questions about anything going on, feel free and let me know, and we will take care of it. Until next week, which is the last week. Adios. Enjoy.